Yeah.
Okay, just reading the translation. I have heard from the mouths of the saintly devotees that everyone says that by the mercy of Sri Rupa Goswami one may approach the lotus feet of the divine couple. O Sanatan Prabhu, O personal associate of Lord Chaitanya, please fulfill my desire. Please fulfill my desire that saintly Sri Rupa Goswami may be merciful to me and that I will be able to take shelter of his lotus feet. When will my master Lokanath Goswami place me at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami? When by your mercy will your faithful follower Narottam Das becomes eligible to receive direct instruction from the gopi friends of the divine couple? So he wants to, he's praying for the association of advanced devotees, saintly devotees like Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatana Goswami, and begging for their mercy. So this is the Lalasa, Lalasa songs, song number 2. So hankering for association of devotees. By their mercy and by their association, they have such, strong desire to serve Radha and Krishna, and being in their association, we will also get that. So we should pray as we chant that we should get an association of advanced devotees.
Thank you. Yeah. Mercy comes, with mercy comes taste and attraction for the Supreme Lord and freedom from desires for sense gratification and inspiration to surrender to Krishna. That's real mercy. Okay.
Yeah, so yesterday Prabhu was, Gauranga Prabhu was saying about Narad Muni. We know that how he served the Vaishnavas, the Bhakti Vedantis that came to his home. And he became that, purified and elevated that when his mother died, that was his only, one person that he had who was taking care of him. He said one verse, so let's see, that verse 1:6. I want to see that verse. He said that whatever Krishna does is all auspicious. When his mother died, my Lord gives only auspiciousness, and he had that full faith. He can never desire inauspiciousness for his devotees. I have to find that verse.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find that verse. So I want to recite one short pastime. So on the day following Srimati Radharani's birth, Purnamashi Devi came to the house of Rishabhanu on the invitation of Kirtida. As soon as she saw the baby girl, immediately she felt so much ecstasy and said, "It is none other than Rasheshwari who has appeared in your house." So this is Purnamashi Devi. She is coming to the house of Rishabhanu and Kirtida, and as soon as she saw the baby girl Radharani, she said that it's none other than Rasheshwari who has appeared in your house. She advised Kirtida and Rishabhanu, "Take nice care of this girl. She is the origin of Lakshmi Devi. She is Ishwari, the controller of Bhulok and Golok. She is always worshipped by the Gopakanya, cowherd girls. Great personalities like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Marut, and Varuna constantly offered their prayers at her lotus feet. Just as Sri Hari appears on this earthly planet by his sweet will, in the same way this girl, who is eternal consort of Sri Hari, has appeared in your house. By seeing, touching, or worshipping this girl, all desires will be fulfilled. She has appeared here to perform some confidential pastimes. You must take care of her very nicely." After some time, when King Rishbhanu and Kirtida were looking at their beautiful daughter more closely, they suddenly realized she was not seeing anything. Her eyes were still closed. Everyone, including Kirtida, started to cry in distress that such a beautiful girl was blind. Still, even though she was blind, because of her unparalleled beauty, everyone came to see the newborn daughter of Rishbhanu and Kirtida. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda also came there, along with their son Krishna. Nanda Maharaj and Rishabhanu Maharaj embraced when they met, and Mother Yashoda was greeted with loving affection by Kirtida. She took her inside the house and also embraced her. Lord Krishna understood that his eternal consort Sri Radha had appeared in the house of Kirtida. Radharani, in the form of baby girl, was lying on the bed. While both Yashoda and Kirtida were busy discussing the newly born girl and her unfortunate blindness, Sri Krishna climbed down from the lap of Mother Yashoda. Entering the room where Radharani lay sleeping, he climbed onto her bed and touched her eyes. Immediately she opened her eyes to take darshan of her beloved Krishna. When Kirtida and Yashoda saw Radharani's eyes had opened, they were very happy and immediately shared the news with everyone present. There was much jubilation in the house of Maharaj Vishwanu and Mother Kirtida. There is another description regarding opening of Radharani's eyes. Mother Yashoda came to the house of Kirtida carrying her son Krishna in her arms. When Yashoda saw the beautiful daughter of Kirtida, immediately she placed Krishna on the ground and picked up Radharani, cradling the child in her lap. Seeing this, Krishna became upset and started to cry. Yashoda bent down and picked up Krishna, also placing him on her lap. It is the nature of children that whenever they come together, they try to touch each other. When Radha and Krishna came close to each other in the lap of Yashoda, Krishna reached out to touch Radharani. At his touch, Radharani realized her Krishna was there in front of her and opened her eyes to take darshan of him. Her first sight on this earthly planet. The reason for Radharani taking birth as a blind girl is as follows. In Golok Dham, Lord Krishna was preparing to come to the earth planet to perform his Bhauma Leela. He mentioned to Radharani that she also had to come to appear in his pastimes. But Radharani expressed her reluctance to come to earth because she would have to see so many people when the only one she wished to look upon was Sri Krishna. Krishna assured her that on earth she would be able to see him always. Radharani accepted on the condition that on earth the first person she saw would be him. That is why she appeared as a blind girl and gained her sight only in the presence of her beloved Shyamsundar. Yeah. So Radharani only wants to see Krishna. And that was her condition for coming to Bhauma Vrindavan.
Thank you. Nice pastime.
There was a devotee of Ramanujacharya who lost his eyes, and I think his guru was telling him, or Ramanujacharya was telling him, you go to Lord and pray to get your eyes back. And he didn't want to get his eyes back. He said that the only persons I want to see is Guru and Krishna. I don't want to see anything else.
Foolish.
Mm-hmm.
He and Mahapurna were, they impersonated for Ramanujacharya, and then that King Kolatunga. They were in the forest, they were blinded, and there was a debate, and then they were blinded, and Kuresh, was it Kuresh? I think it was Kuresh.
Yeah. Yes.
Surdas was also blind, they say, right? But he was seeing.
Yeah. One time, Surdas entered the temple and he covered his eyes and says, "Oh my Lord," and he ran away. And then he told that the Lord was naked. He could see from his eyes.
There was one blind man who wanted to see in Kheturi during the first Gaur Purnima festival. He wanted to see the dance of Veerabhadra, I think the son of Lord Nityananda. And then he got divine eyes and he saw that dance. So many times we have Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Trisho. Our eyes should be used to see the beautiful form of the Lord and to read, like yesterday he was saying, darshan means two things: to see the Lord and to have philosophical insight into the scriptures. Darshan means to see, and also, of course, we go to the temple to be seen by the Lord. We are not the seer. Krishna is the seer, so he will glance upon us. And his glance upon us makes everything auspicious. So we bow down to him. We do service, so he will look at us. So who is this? Who is this person who is doing service?
Don't try to see Krishna. Act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you.
And darshan also means to have philosophical insight into scriptures, to understand what this life is about and how I can go back to God. So Karthik Chandra Prabhu has joined us from New Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. He's joining
Hare Krishna.
long time.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Fortunate to join Prabhu. Thank you so much.
That's where Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that, right? When Srila Prabhupada, the other devotees, they were with him in Shesha Shai Vishnu, and they left for Parikrama. But Prabhupada stayed to hear Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that everybody else just going to the Parikrama is just doing an eye exercise. You can see Krishna properly by hearing from the Shastra and hearing from those who have seen Krishna.
Okay. We get realizations when we hear from those who have realization. So, okay. Anything else I would like to say? We'll read some verses from Bhagavatam. Okay, so let's see where we are. 321. Kapila's instructions on the execution of devotional service. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Yogyasya Lakshanam Vakshye Sabijasya Ripat Maje Mano Yeneva Vidina Prasannam Yati Satpatham. The personality of Godhead said, "My dear mother, O daughter of the king, now I shall explain to you the system of yoga, the object of which is to concentrate the mind." So, the whole purpose of yoga is to fix the mind on Krishna. And that's the greatest yogi, one who always remembers Krishna. Yogi nam api sarvesham madkatena antaratmanam shraddhavan bhajate yomam samyukta tamamataha. By practicing this system, one can become joyful and progressively advance towards the path of absolute truth. So by practicing this bhakti yoga, especially, one becomes joyful and goes towards the absolute truth. Susukham kartum avyayam. The yoga process explained by Lord Kapila Dev in this chapter is authorized and standard, and therefore this instruction should be followed very carefully. To begin, the Lord says that by yoga practice, one can make progress towards understanding the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the previous chapter, it has been clearly stated that the desired result of yoga is not to achieve some wonderful mystic power. One should not be at all attracted by such mystic power, but should attain progressive realization on the path of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yoga is meant to unite us. Any yoga is ultimately meant to bring us closer. Unite means to bring us closer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not that we become one, but we have harmony in desires. and we surrender to Krishna. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, which states in the last verse of the 6th chapter that the greatest yogi is he who constantly thinks of Krishna within himself, or he who is Krishna conscious. So, highest thing is to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Smartavya Satatam Vishnu. He is the greatest yogi. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. In this way, you will come to me without my fail. You will come to me without fail, that Krishna says twice. Manmanabhav. It is stated here that by following the system of yoga, one can become joyful. So, how we can remember Krishna? When we have love for Krishna, then we can remember Krishna. So, that love, in the 12th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, okay, if you don't have love, spontaneous love, then what you should do? You should
Follow the regulative principle.
regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, like that. It is stated here that by following the system of yoga, one can become joyful. Lord Kapila, the personality of Godhead, which is the highest author in yoga, who is the highest author in yoga, here explains the yoga system known as Ashtanga Yoga, which comprises 8 different practices, namely Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, and Samadhi. By all these stages of practice, one must realize Lord Vishnu is the target of all yoga. There are so-called yoga practices in which one concentrates the mind on voidness or on impersonal, but this is not approved by authorized yoga system as Kapila Dev. Sometimes people say, I'm doing Kriya Yoga, I'm doing this yoga, like that, but ultimately it's not approved if it's not focusing on Krishna. Even Patanjali explains that the target of all yoga is Vishnu. Ashtanga Yoga is therefore part of Vaishnava practice because its ultimate goal is realization of Vishnu. The achievement of success in yoga is not acquisition of mystic power, which is condemned in the previous chapter, but rather freedom from all material designations and situation in one's constitutional position. Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam. That is the ultimate achievement in yoga practice. To become free from all material designations and to be situated in one's constitutional position. That is the ultimate achievement. To become material designations means all these bodily designations. I'm man, I'm woman, I'm engineer, I'm doctor, I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm black, I'm white, I'm old, I'm young. All these things, and to be in the consciousness that I'm servant of Krishna. Okay. Ultimate achievement in yoga practice. So, Phalena Parichyate. Prabhupada says, yes, you are practicing, but have you come to this position? Then your practice is successful. Have you come to this consciousness? Of course, it takes time, but yeah, everything is. You may say, I'm doing so many years of devotional service, but what is your realization? Have you come to this realization? That I'm servant of Krishna, I'm not this body. That's the. So, okay. Bhajan karo, sadhan karo, marte jaan le hoy. So, that's also there. Swadharma charanam shaktya. So swadharma, according to one's own dharma, whatever one executes. Vidharma cha nivartanam. Vidharmat, opposite to dharma. Cha nivartanam, avoiding. Daiva labdena santosha, satisfied with whatever is achieved by divine arrangement. Atmavit Charanarchanam. The Atmavid, one who knows the self. Charana Archanam, worshipping the feet. Okay. One should execute his prescribed duties to the best of his ability and avoid performing duties not allotted to him. One should be satisfied with as much gain as he achieves by the grace of the Lord, and one should worship the lotus feet of a spiritual master. Charana Archanam. So lotus feet of Prabhupada is translated as. Okay. So we offer flowers every day to Srila Prabhupada in Guru Puja, in the temple. In this verse, there are many important words which could be very elaborately explained, but we shall briefly discuss the important aspects of each. The final statement is Atmavit Charanaj Archanam. Atmavit means a self realized soul or bona fide spiritual master. Unless one is self realized and knows what his relationship with the super soul is, he cannot be a bona fide spiritual master. So, not only knowing, but to act on so in that relationship. Knowing, so we also know that, yes, I'm part and parcel of Krishna. Yeah, we can act as a guru, but ultimately, you know, the spiritual master has realization. He's self realized. Here it is recommended that one should seek out a bona fide spiritual master and surrender to him archanam, for by inquiring from and worshipping him one can learn spiritual activities. Tadviti pranipatena pariprashnina sevaya updekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. The first recommendation is swadharma archanam, dharma acharanam, dharma acharanam. As long as we have this material body, there are various duties prescribed for us. Such duties are divided by four social orders: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. These particular duties are mentioned in the Shastra and particularly in Bhagavad Gita. Swadharma acharanam means that one should discharge the prescribed duties of his particular division of society faithfully and to the best of his ability. One should not accept another's duty. If one is born in a particular society or community, he should perform the prescribed duties for that particular division, which is not so very well defined now. If, however, one is fortunate enough to transcend the designation of birth in a particular society or community by being elevated to the standard of spiritual identity, then his swadharma or duty is solely that of serving the Supreme Personality of God. So that's why Lord Chaitanya said, I am not a brahmachari, I am not a grihastha, I am the servant, the maintainer of the gopis. Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayar. Gopi Bhartu is Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. Brajajana Palana, Asura Kulanashana. Brajajana Palana means one who is maintaining Palan, protecting, nourishing. So, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayar, servant of the servant of the servant of the maintainer of gopis, Krishna. So, that is the actual designation. The actual duty of one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness is to serve the Lord. As long as one remains in the bodily concept of life, he may act according to duties of social convention. But if one is elevated to the spiritual platform, he must simply serve the Supreme Lord. That is the real execution of Swadharma. So Swa means the self, and the real dharma of the self is to serve the Supreme Lord. So on the bodily, as long as we are in the bodily platform, we have to do our duties in the Varnashram. But when one transcends the bodily platform, then he has to only serve the Supreme Lord and is absolved from all duties. Devarshi bhutapta nirnam pitrinam na kinkaro nayam rinicharajan. Sarvatmana yasharanam sharanam gato mukunda pariritya karatam. One who has surrendered to the lotus feet of Mukunda, that's the highest duty. So Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Okay. Any comments anybody has, then you can say.
There is also those two verses that are repeated in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is saying you should perform your prescribed duties. Better to perform your prescribed duties even faultily than others' duties perfectly. Because here in this verse it was mentioned you should avoid performing duties not allotted to you.
Yeah, the Varna and Ashram are not very defined well. Now, whether I'm Brahmana, I'm Kshatriya, I'm Vaishya, I'm Shudra, it's not very well defined now. We don't know. Because actually, Brahmanas don't work for a job. You may be a Brahmana, but they don't accept a salary and they don't work. But you are a Brahman initiated, but Brahmanas from ideal perspective from the Varna perspective, they are not taking a salary. Like Chanakya Pandit was a Brahmana, Prabhupada said. So all these designations are not defined. Kshatriyas, like I may be in the military, but really am I Kshatriya? I'm fighting for the government, but now Putin has so many soldiers fighting for him. But is it really Dharma Yudh? They are doing fighting. It's a material ambition. So is that Kshatriya? I mean, I don't know. That's so Vaishyas also. Vaishyas are business people, and they are supposed to protect the cows. And all the business people are eating flesh of the cow. All the big business magnates, they have, they go to the hotel and eat. So are they really Vaishyas? So Kalau Sambhava Shudra. In this age, everybody is a Shudra. And like that, it's very, although Prabhupada wanted to establish Varnashram Dharma, but it's not very well defined what is the duty and how. So I think she has written a book, Rukmini and Urmila Mataji. They have written a book. She was showing me the other day on Varnashram. But it's a thick book. Gramya dharma nivrittischa moksha dharma ratistatha mita medhyadanam sashvad vivikta kshema sevanam. One should cease performing conventional religious practices and should be attracted to those which lead to salvation. Conventional means just for the sake of doing conventional, and should be attracted to those which lead to salvation. One should eat very frugally and should always remain secluded so that he can achieve the highest perfection of life. And Prabhupada will qualify this to remain secluded, maybe he will say. Because Prabhupada also said you cannot make advancement in this without the association of devotees in this Kali Yuga. So, but this is talking about Ashtanga Yoga, where one goes into seclusion. That's why Ashtanga Yoga is not possible to practice in this age. You can't go into seclusion on Himalayas, and how many people can actually do that? So, it is recommended herein that religious practice for economic development or the satisfaction of the sense desire should be avoided. Religious practices should be executed only to gain freedom from the clutches of material nature. Dharmasya hi apavargasya nartho arthaya upakalpate narthasya dharmaikantasya kamo labha smitaha. Dharma should never be performed for material gain, but here Prabhupada says religious practices should be executed only to gain freedom, to get to apavarga, to come to apavarga, to become free from the cycle of birth and death. It should not be performed for material gain. It is stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam that the topmost religious practice is that by which one can attain to the transcendental devotional service of the Lord without reason or cause. Which verse is that? Topmost religious practice is that by which one can attain to the transcendental devotional service of the Lord without reason or cause.
Savapam samparo dharma yatho bhakti dosha.
Yeah, without reason or cause. Ahetukya pratyata. Such reason, huh? Ahetukya pratyata yayatma suprasthita. Such religious practice is never hampered by any impediments, and by its performance one actually becomes satisfied. So we can try performing in uninterrupted and unmotivated devotional service and see if we actually become satisfied. We can't do uninterrupted. We can try, at least for one day we can try. Let's do today only devotional service and or 2 hours and chanting just without any motivation other than to please Krishna. Here this is recommended as moksha dharma. And then you will see that yes, there is some satisfaction that comes from chanting in this way for Krishna's pleasure. Here, this is recommended as moksha dharma, religious practice for salvation, or transcendence of the clutches of material contamination. Generally, people execute religious practices for economic development or sense gratification. Dharma is for artha and kama, but that is not recommended for one who wants to advance in yoga. The next important phrase is mita medhyadanam, which means that one should eat very frugally. Even in bhakti practitioners, it is recommended that in Vedic literatures that a yogi eat only half of what he desires according to his hunger. If one is so hungry that he could devour 1 pound of foodstuffs, then instead of eating 1 pound, he could consume only half a pound and supplement this with 4 ounces of water. 1/4 of the stomach should be left empty for the passage of air in the stomach. 1/4, 1/4 is half. 1/4 air, 1/4 water, and half fill. If one eats in this manner, he will avoid indigestion and disease. So, obesity is the cause of many diseases. The yogi should eat in this way as recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam and all other standard scriptures. The yogi should live in a secluded place where his yoga practice will not be disturbed. So, where we will not only be disturbed, but where we will get inspiration also. So, we have to find situation. Tomorrow is Ekadashi. We have so we're talking about fasting. Adikarta Prabhu put this, tomorrow is Ekadashi. So, okay, whereas yoga practice will not be disturbed. So not only disturbed, but we'll get inspiration more too. So avoid the negative and accept the positive. Should find a situation where this will happen. Okay. We have the other one also in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. We can read it after some time. Ahimsa satyam asteyam yavadartha parigraha brahmacharyam tapa saucham swadhyaya purusharchanam. One should practice non-violence and truthfulness, should avoid thieving, and be satisfied with possessing as much as he needs for his maintenance. Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa nartho yasya karma bhi. Only as much as is required one should work to maintain a healthy life, and nothing else but inquire into the absolute truth should be the goal of one's work. He should abstain from sex life, perform austerity, be clean, study the Vedas, and worship the supreme form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Ashtanga Yoga requires celibacy. You have to perform austerity, be clean, study the Vedas, and worship the supreme form of the Supreme Personality. The word Purusharchanam in this verse means worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, especially the form of Lord Krishna. Purusha Archanam. Archana means worship and Purusha is. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed by Arjuna that Krishna is the original Purusha, or the personality of Godhead. Purusham Sashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhu. Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Purusham. Krishna is saying you are Purusha, you are a person. Sashvatam, eternal. Therefore, in yoga practice, one must not only concentrate his mind on the person of Krishna, but also worship the form of deity of Krishna daily. So we can have picture or deity and worship, offer flowers, or sing before Lord Chaitanya. That is worshipping Lord Chaitanya by kirtan. Do arati as much as possible. And the deity is also, one form of the deity is also the deity of Krishna in the mind. Like there is picture, there is wood, metal, like that, paint. So then there is also the deity of Krishna in the mind. So Prabhupada is saying, yes, you should concentrate the mind on Krishna's deity form, Krishna's form, and also worship A brahmachari practices celibacy, controlling his sex life. One cannot enjoy unrestricted sex life and practice yoga. This is rascaldom. So sense gratification and spiritual advancement go ill together. So-called yogis advertise that one can go and enjoying as one likes and simultaneously become a yogi. But this is totally unauthorized. Like somebody had said, it's kind of philosophy. It is very, very clearly explained here that one must observe celibacy. Brahmacharyam means that one leads his life simply in relationship with Brahman or in full Krishna consciousness. So we have, like yesterday, Gauranga Prabhu was Brahmachari life, very easy life and dedicated. Those who are too addicted to sex life cannot observe the regulations which will lead them to Krishna consciousness. Sex life should be restricted to persons who are married. A person whose sex life is restricted in marriage is also called a brahmachari. So we have grihastha brahmachari who only engage in sex life for the purpose of procreation. That is also the word asteyam is also very important for a yogi. Asteyam means to refrain from theft. In the broader sense, everyone who accumulates more than he needs is a thief. So we are all thieves. If we have more money than we actually need, then we are thieves. It's called hoarding the money, and we all have. We think, yes, I should have money. So, but Brahmana means he is always poor. Actually, that's another definition of Brahmana. What is it? Dana pratikra. As soon as he receives donation, he'll spend it for Krishna. He will not hoard the money. That is real Brahmana. He'll not have like in the bank account. Of course, everybody has now, but that's why this varnashram is not very defined. Because Brahmana will always, as Prabhupada says, he would get the money and he will spend it for Krishna. He will not hoard the money. So everybody is the thief. In the broader sense, everyone who accumulates more than he needs is a thief. According to spiritual communism, one cannot possess more than he needs for his personal maintenance. That is the law of nature. And Prabhupada gave the example of the birds, how they will come, they will eat whatever they have, and they will go away. But if man is there, he will eat whatever he needs and he will hoard, he will take everything. So there is greed. And that is why there is scarcity. Anyone who accumulates more and more money and more possessions than he needs is called a thief. And one who simply accumulates wealth without spending for sacrifice or for the worship of personality of God is a great thief. So we may spend little wealth for the worship, but there may be so much wealth that we are not spending. So that also should be spent for the worship of Supreme Personality of God. That's what ideally, but that comes with faith in Krishna, that Krishna will protect me. Money will not protect me. Krishna will protect me. And so if I use my money for Krishna's service, then I'm showing to Krishna that yes, you are my maintainer, not my money. Of course, sometimes we think that Krishna is giving me the intelligence to save money. Like that may be there, yes, at some point. If somebody wants to retire, then they just have some money. But how much money you need? That's another question, right? How much money you need for living your life? So, because it is never enough, no matter how much you accumulate, you always feel, no, I can have more. So, Swadhyaya means reading the authorized Vedic scriptures. Like, what is that verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna says, regularly reciting the Vedic literature is austerity of speech. Anudvega karam vakyam satya priyam hitam cha.
Swadhyaya Bharata Vanmayam Shapa.
Okay. So regularly, he must read, even if one is not Krishna conscious and is practicing the yoga system. He must read the standard Vedic literatures in order to understand. Prabhupada wanted us to read his books at least 3 to 4 hours every day. He said like that. Performance of yoga alone is not sufficient. Narottam Das Thakur, a great devotee and acharya in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, says that all spiritual activities should be understood from three sources, namely saintly persons, standard scriptures, and the spiritual master, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. These three guides are very important for progress in spiritual life. The spiritual master prescribes standard literature for the prosecution of yoga of devotional service. So books are the basis. And he himself speaks only from scriptural reference. So Prabhupada, you see his classes, he would back up whatever he's saying. So many verses he will quote. So he speaks only from scriptural reference. Therefore, reading standard scriptures is necessary for executing yoga. Practicing yoga without reading the standard literatures is simply a waste of time. Because there is no direction, right, without Shastra. You are doing on your own. Okay. What's the time? 7:46. Okay. Maunam sadasana jaya stairyam prana jaya shanai pratyaharaschendriyanam vishayan manasaridi. One must observe silence. So this is describing yam, niyam, asan, pranayam. Right? One must observe silence. Acquire steadiness by practicing different yogic postures. Controlling the breath. Control the breathing. So yogic posture is asana. Control the breathing of the vital air, pranayam. Withdraw the senses from sense objects, pratyahar. Atyahar means the senses are running towards the sense objects, and pratyahar means like a tortoise withdrawing the senses from sense objects, and thus concentrate the mind on the heart. So Dharan, Dhyan, like that. The yogic practices in general and Hatha Yoga in particular are not ends in themselves. They are means to the end of attaining steadiness, the control of the mind and senses. And then it comes to like concentrated attention on the Supreme Lord. First, one must be able to sit properly. Then the mind and attention will become steady enough for practicing yoga. Prabhupada says, sit properly in his japa. So we have to sit properly when we chant. Then the mind and attention will become steady enough for practicing yoga. Generally, one must control. Of course, we say niyamita asmarane nakalaha. Chanting of the holy name, there are no niyam. But it helps if you sit. Gradually, one must control the circulation of vital air. And with such control, he'll be able to withdraw the senses from sense objects to the Lord in the heart. Basically, withdrawing the senses from. In the previous verse, it is stated that one must observe celibacy. The most important aspect of sense control is controlling sex life. That is called brahmacharya. By practicing the different sitting postures and controlling the vital air, one can control and restrain the senses from unrestricted sense enjoyment. Because this is the main binding force in the material existence. We are in this material world. It's called Maithunagar. So that is the force that has to be controlled. And it can be only done by strong absorption in Krishna. It's not possible. Okay, so the next, strong sadhana, strong absorption, strong study of scriptures, like that. And very good association. Swadhishnayanam ekadeshe manasa prana dharanam vaikuntha lilabhidhyanam samadhanam tathatmana. Fixing the vital air and the mind in one of the 6 circles of vital air circulation within the body, thus concentrating one's mind on the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called samadhi or samadhan of the mind. So after you no sense objects are alluring you, then your concentration becomes focused on, on Krishna. There are 6 circles of vital air circulation within the body. 6 circles of vitals. There are. The first circle is within the belly. So there is some air circulation in a circle. The second circle is in the area of the heart. The third is in the area of lungs. The fourth is on the palate. The fifth is between the eyebrows. And the highest, the circle is above the brain. One has to fix his mind and the circulation of the vital air and thus think of the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So, Lila Smaranam. It is never mentioned that one should concentrate on the impersonal or void. It is clearly stated, Vaikuntha Lila. Lila means pastimes. Unless, so we are fortunate, we are hearing every day Krishna's pastimes when they're sharing. So this is nice, we can now meditate on those pastimes that we have heard. How Yashoda picked up both. Krishna started crying, right? Because mother left and picked up Radharani. So Krishna started crying and then she picked up Krishna also and then Krishna touched Radharani and her eyes opened. Is that what happened? The second, both were.
Krishna became started to cry.
Krishna
And
became.
Yashoda picked up Krishna as well. And Krishna touched Radharani.
Okay. So this we can remember how Radharani opened her eyes. So it's a little pastime, but if you remember one of these pastimes while leaving our body, then we can go back to the spiritual world. Krishna has so many pastimes. So, unless the absolute truth, the personality of God, it has transcendental activities, where is the scope for thinking of these pastimes? Yeah, so Prabhupada is saying, his person and his activities. Otherwise, what is the meaning of pastimes if he is not a person? It is through the process of devotional service, chanting and hearing of the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead that one can achieve this concentration. So, Shravanam Kirtanam, also of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can achieve this concentration. As described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord appears and disappears according to his relationship with different devotees. The Vedic literatures contain many narrations of the Lord's pastimes, including the Battle of Kurukshetra, and historical facts relating to the life and precepts of devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. So, either you think about the Lord or you think about the devotees, the pure devotees like Narottam Das Thakur, and you can think of the pastimes of the devotees of the Lord like pure devotee of Lilamrita. Then that is also equivalent to thinking of Krishna. Like Prahlad Maharaj, how he was, so Dhruva Maharaj and Amrish Maharaj. One need only concentrate his mind on one such narration and become always absorbed in its thought. Just one narration is enough. Just concentrate your mind on that narration. Either Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Amrish Maharaj, or Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita in the Battle of Kurukshetra. Something like that. Krishna killing Putana, or Krishna and Radharani on the swing, whatever pastime. Then he will be in Samadhi. Of course, we may get, Krishna has also given us a variety. So much variety, infinite variety of pastimes. So that, sometimes our mind gets things, okay, now I want to think of some new pastime. So Krishna says, okay, here is another pastime I have performed. So Samadhi is not an artificial bodily state. It is the state achieved when the mind is virtually absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Samadhi means complete absorption in Supreme Personality of Godhead, in His service. That is also Samadhi. You may be moving around, Prabhupada writes in the 12th chapter. You may be going to the market, purchasing, or you may be working. Or Arjuna was also in Samadhi because he was doing it as a service to Krishna. He was remembering Krishna. This is for Krishna's satisfaction. While doing the service, he's thinking, this Krishna wants me to do this. So, like that. Okay. We can stop. We can read Krishna book also. And then maybe Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Let's see, where is Brihad Bhagavatamrita? Anything anybody like to say?
So one time Prabhupada says that we should not artificially try to remember Krishna's pastimes, but they should be automatically be revealed to us while we chant. But here I think it's saying that we should concentrate on some pastime of Krishna.
Yeah, that I mean, if you think about, I mean, Prabhupada says concentrating on the sound of the holy name is non-different from thinking of Krishna. So yeah, that is there. He said like that also, and then he says, yeah, one can think of the deity and chant Hare Krishna, the beautiful deity form of the Lord. That is Rupa. Then
Name, form, qualities, and pastimes, anything we can focus on, as well as prayers, praying to Krishna.
Praying, yes. So there will be some also emotion, right, when you chant. If you have, say, Mahatma Prabhu talks about it, don't chant like a dead stone, like Satsvarup Maharaj says. Chant with some emotion for Krishna. Please accept me, Krishna. Please accept me, some prayer. I have turned away from you. Please free me from all anarthas. Krishna, please engage me in your service. Please make me surrendered. One devotee was telling me when I was in Bangalore. He was working in US and he was chanting. He was telling me this, that when I was chanting, I was praying to Krishna, please make me surrendered, please make me surrendered. And then he left his job and he came and joined as brahmachari in the Bangalore temple. So he says, please make me surrendered. I want to surrender to you. So, of course, then that devotee became like Ritvik and things like that. But anyhow.
So, can we place ourselves in the position of devotees who are going through distress, like Gajendra, right? He was in the mouth of the crocodile. And Draupadi, she was in a difficult situation. So, can we think like that, that we are also in a similar position?
Yeah, padam padam yadvi padam. Yeah, this is a dangerous place. This material world is a dangerous place. Krishna, please protect me. Yes.
Yeah.
That's very, I mean, Prabhupada says like that, right? Baby crying for the mother for help. We should think, yes, I'm in a difficult situation in the cycle of birth and death. I'm completely bewildered. I have no shelter, Krishna, other than you. Your Maya is so powerful. Without you, who can protect me, Krishna? And protection means not physical, as Prabhu was saying, protection of our consciousness. So my consciousness can be victimized or is victimized by the illusory energy. Krishna, you are the only one who can save me from this.
Protect me from my own anarthas.
My own
correct. From a mind.
Yes. And the more like, because Nam is Chintamani, so Nam can fulfill all desires. As you were saying, right? Confessed. This mantra will fulfill all your desires. So that is true. This chanting of the holy name can fulfill all desires. So if we pray for spiritual desires and Krishna, then especially Krishna will fulfill, because he likes us to surrender to him. So if we have prayers like that, then Krishna is very pleased. We can all we can say, "Oh, you give me a house by the sea, and this and that." That's also can be fulfilled in Krishna's. Jai Jagdisha Hare, that devotees say like that. Chanting, but I'm chanting to fulfill my material desires. So,
So that's what Suniti told Dhruva Maharaj yesterday, right? Prabhu was saying three things Suniti told Dhruva. So first thing she said, please don't desire harm for others. Second, she said, whatever suffering we are getting is the result of our own past mistakes. So don't have any grudge against anyone. And third thing she says was, whatever you desire, you worship Vishnu and you'll get it. So he said Dhruva didn't understand the first two. He still had grudge, he still had material desires, but he worshipped Vishnu without concentrating on that grudge or envy towards Suniti. So he got purified.
yeah, and I was, because I had read, we read the Dhruva pastime. So I was thinking that Suniti, the way she says it, he was saying that Suniti said, don't wish. But when I read the verse,
Yeah, that's what Radha Govind Maharaj explains. The way that he explains is, yeah, so the verse says that whatever one does, suffering comes to them according to their karma. So it could mean that she was pointing out to Suniti or Suruchi that she has hurt us, so she'll be hurt by the laws of karma. You don't need to hold any grudge against her. She'll get whatever she deserves by her own karma. But actually, the inner meaning that acharyas explain, because it can be interpreted in the other way, is that we are receiving suffering because of our own karma, so don't hold Suruchi responsible for our suffering situation.
yeah, this is the verse that I was thinking. She also was breathing very heavily, and she did not know the factual remedy. So when Dhruva came, she was breathing very. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others." Means don't. The way we can read. Of course, the inner meaning as you were revealing, but the verse says, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others." Means even they have done harm to you, don't wish bad for them. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain. So, anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain. So, it may seem like that Sunit is pointing out, but as you were saying, it's not Suruchi. Because, but generally it is true, right? If we inflict pain on others, then we'll get pain.
And both is good. We should not retaliate against others, knowing that Krishna will do whatever is necessary with that person.
Correct.
Thinking that is also good, and I think higher than that is to think that I must have done something wrong to this person in my previous life. That's why he's doing this to me.
It can apply to me or it can apply to Suruchi. Both the ways that you can read it. That either anyone who inflicts pain upon other, but Dhruva has not inflicted pain on anybody. Anyone
No,
who
previous karma.
But in the context of why Dhruva has come to her and she's saying that, so you don't wish bad for Suruchi, because she will get the result of her. So that's the direct. She will get the result of causing pain to you. You don't wish bad for her. That's the direct meaning. But as you are saying, Acharyas have said that.
Lal Govind Prabhu also mentioned this way only, and Radha Govind Maharaj, so many devotees mentioned this way. That, yeah. And I found the verse that he was quoting about Narad Muni when his mother was bitten by the snake. Open that. He says that I took this as special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees, and so thinking I started for the Lord. So, Anugraham. special benediction. Krishna always desires auspiciousness, benedictions for his devotees. He wouldn't do anything that would harm the devotees. So, if my mother has died, that's special mercy from Krishna.
Yeah, he was in such a helpless situation because his father was not there. He was the only, mother was only there to take care of him. This Anugraham Prabhupada also uses in Yasyaham Anugrinami, like that. Anugraham, special mercy. Yasyaham Anugrinami, Harishyatathanam Shanai. He says it was special mercy on me that my business failed, there was no cooperation from my family, I became poverty stricken, so that I could come to completely depend upon Krishna. So here also, he is thinking like that, the little boy, that yes, Krishna has removed everything, but this is so that I can completely depend on him. Yeah, confident devotees of the Lord see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. What is considered to be an odd or difficult moment in the mundane sense is accepted as special mercy of the Lord. So what is odd and what is very materially very unacceptable or makes us look like low in the eyes of others is actually a special mercy of the Lord, so that the devotee becomes completely, Mundane prosperity is a kind of material fever. And by the grace of the Lord, the temperature of this material fever is gradually diminished. And spiritual health is obtained step by step. Mundane people misunderstand it.
Also, he was saying that, he and his mother both served the Bhakti Vedantis, right? And his mother would have done more service because, Narad Muni was just a 5 years old boy. So, but she went through this bitten by the snake. So, Krishna has, he has his own way to reciprocate with devotees, and she might have gone back to Godhead, who knows. He was saying that, right? His mother would have done more service. Why did she go through that?
Yeah, even Prabhupada, right? He went through like Pandavas. There's so much. Of course, in Pandavas emerged victorious at the end, but they also they fell one by one, right?
Yeah.
So I think everybody, it's like it's a material world. Krishna also wants to show us. Prabhupada said, don't think this will not happen. Don't think this will not happen to you. So he wants to tell us that, you're in the material world, everybody gets wet here. But how much you suffer is based on your consciousness. But everybody gets difficulty here in this material existence. It's a place of suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, we should have faith that Krishna is our, Suridam Sarvabhutanam. He's our real friend, benefactor, and if we are sincere in our devotional path, right, he will guide us properly. He will take care of us, maintain us, protect us. So that faith should be there.
Yes, Krishna will take care of me. Rakshashititi Vishwash. Now, how he takes care, maybe it is by, different ways for whatever he does. Sometimes Krishna also makes us materially unsuccessful, and that way he takes care of us. He was also saying if he thinks that if I give something to somebody and this person is going to go away from Krishna or his consciousness is going to go down, then Krishna will not give.
Opulence. Mm-hmm.
But if we extend that, then we may think, well, why Krishna allowed us to come to material world? Because our consciousness was going to go down. But this is for people who are practicing devotional service, and then Krishna may do certain way.
Yeah, he was saying that Avanti Brahmana, he was too proud, right? So Krishna took away the opulence from him. Bali Maharaj, he was proud of his charitable position. So he took all his kingdom. And Sudama, he was proud of his detachment. So Krishna thought, I will give him so much opulence and humble him that way.
Yeah, you can be proud that you're humble also, or you're detached, or whatever good qualities you have, and you can say, "Oh, I have such good quality." You can be proud of good qualities. You can be proud that you're humble. So I don't
Mhm.
know. Okay, we'll read this Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So what happened? Let's see. This is the place. It opened here. Ah, yeah, I think it is this one only. We had marked the
Yeah.
page
And 462. Yeah.
462. Okay, that was very. So Krishna has gone into the forest, and Nanda Maharaj is consoling Yashoda and the gopis, and he brought them back into the home. The gopis singing Krishna's pastimes. So they are crying for Krishna's association, just like we cry for so many things in this world. And they are crying for Krishna. So they have to be consoled. Everybody has to cry. Now, for whom we cry, that's the thing. Whether we cry for material things or material sense gratifying, or we cry for Krishna. The gopis singing Krishna's pastimes entered the village where they began the day absorbed in thoughts of his company. The gopis are Krishna's greatest devotees, dedicated to him even more intensely than Sri Nanda and the other elder cowherd men and women. The gopis spent the entire day fully absorbed in the Sankirtan of singing about the Ras dance and other pastimes they had shared with Krishna. So they're remembering the nights, maybe the night before, how they were singing. They remembered how they had enjoyed these pastimes. So they remember the pastimes also. Like in Gopi Geet, they are saying, we remember all the affection you showered upon us. Like some verse. And they looked forward to having more pastimes with him soon. Some of the songs the gopis sang are recorded in the 10th canto, 35th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vama bahu krita vama kapolo valgita brur adhar pita venu komalangulibhir ashrita margam gopya hirayati yatra mukunda vyomayana vanita sahasiddhe vismitastad upadharya lajjaha काममार्गन समर्पिता चित्तः कश्मलम ययुर अपस्मृता निव्यः. Okay. When Mukunda vibrates the flute, he has placed to his lips, stopping its holes with his tender fingers. He rests his left cheek. He rests his left cheek on his left arm. So his arm is touching his cheek and makes his eyebrows dance. At that time, the demigoddesses traveling in the sky with their husbands, the Siddhas, became amazed. As those ladies listen, they are embarrassed to find their minds yielding to the pursuit of lusty desires, and in their distress, they are unaware that the bells of their garments are loosening. So the demigoddesses are attracted to Krishna. So that's what. Okay, Krishna attracts everybody. When Krishna is playing his flute, when they hear the demigoddesses, they are attracted to Krishna. Even a person with unlimited power could not describe those dealings in further detail. But why would someone intelligent even try? It would only create abysmal distress. So, what are the dealings this gopis with Krishna? If you only creative. Yeah, the separation of the gopis from Krishna would create distress. So he's saying, why would somebody even try? It will create only distress. The Mathura Brahmana might be eager to hear everything about Krishna's day, from the moment his mother wakes him till the night, till the time he returns home in the evening. But Sarup says that only someone equal to Anand Sesh could satisfy the demand to tell all this. So, what is the context here? The Mathura Brahmana might be eager. He came, is that Krishna's from. But Sarup says that only someone equal to Anand Sesh could satisfy the demand to tell all this. But the Lord, the Brahmana might counter, has been addressed with the words Maya Balena Bhavatapi Dikyomanam Pashyanti Kejit. Some people can see what by your own power of illusion you keep hidden. And the Brahmana might insist that Sri Sarup is indeed a great devotee of the Lord and therefore able to do anything. So is somebody asking Sarup that you please tell me the.
Yeah, so he's explaining those what is happening in Golok Vrindavan to Mathura Brahmana. In Bhauma Vrindavan, I think Radharani has sent him to get this Mathura Brahman. So he's narrating what he's seeing in Golok Vrindavan. He has seen in the past.
Okay. So he cannot narrate this. I cannot do this, Sarup might say, because those pastimes are infinite. Then please describe at least some part of them in detail, the Brahmana might persist. No, Sarup would finally answer. An intelligent person should not speak what will create unhappiness for the entire world. Even who? Raghunath Das Goswami wanted to commit suicide, right? After hearing something like that. So he was feeling very unhappy. And then Rupa Goswami wrote that. If one does so, he is not intelligent. Indeed, even the son of Badara and Vyas did not speak elaborately in Srimad Bhagavatam. The topics of this Brajvasi's daily separation from Krishna. Of course, it will only cause grief if you have that same, if you can identify yourself with the gopis and see what they are feeling. And then if you have empathy and you can feel what the gopis are feeling. Like you can only feel the suffering of others only when you put yourself in their shoes. Even in this world, right, you can only feel the suffering of a beggar only if you try to feel what that other person is feeling. So how the gopis would feel in Braj when Krishna has left them for the forest. Okay. Krishna felt heavy at heart from sending the gopis back. Krishna is also not feeling good. But his friends quickly pulled him forward and made him enter the beautiful Vrindavan forest. Because Krishna has to now carry on. So the Gopas are pulling him. And as his companions pointed out the splendors of Vrindavan, and as he described them himself and supported his praise with logic, the glory of Vrindavan, Krishna is describing himself and he's saying why it is so glorious. He was more or less free from distress. His mind was now diverted from the gopis. Texts 192 and 193 describe how Krishna was able to tolerate the pain he felt from having to separate from the gopis. As indicated in the first of these verses by the word tu, the pain Krishna felt was even greater than that of the gopis. The cowherd boys had to drag Krishna away by force because otherwise he and the gopis would never have stopped gazing at one another. The boys took him into deep forest where the girls couldn't go. Of course, Krishna also sent home his parents and the others, but the gopis are especially mentioned here because their heartfelt pain was the greatest, because their love is the greatest. So Whoever has the greatest love feels the greatest pain. And the word Eva indicates that despite entering the forest with his friends, Krishna was not completely relieved of his anxiety about the gopis. So still he had some anxiety. Once inside the Vrindavan forest, Krishna praised its beauty on the pretext of glorifying his brother Balram. How the trees are bending and like that. As we hear from Sri Shukdev Goswami, Krishna said, Oho Ami Deva Varamarachitam Padambujam Te Sumana Phala Arhanam Namanti Upadaya Shikha Viratmanas Tamo Vahatyai Taru Janma Yatkritam. O greatest of the Lord, just see how these trees are bowing their heads at your lotus feet, which are worshipped by the immortal demigods. The trees are offering you their fruits and flowers to eradicate the dark ignorance that has caused their birth as trees. But they are trees in Vrindavan, so Krishna is saying. Okay. His wanderings then with the cowherd boys and the state of ecstasy all creatures thereby achieve, the moving and non-moving. One cannot conceive of this even by meditation in the heart. So as he was wandering with the cowherd boys, they were all very ecstatic. Everybody, the trees and animals, and everybody was ecstatic that this cannot be even conceived. How much? How then can the tongue describe this to anyone else? Sarupa is saying, I think, right? Okay.
Right.
In the places around Govardhan Hill, he enjoyed tending the cows and making them drink water from the Yamuna. Now this is his forest Leela. And as evening approached, the Lord of Vraj returned to his cowherd village and later played with Vraja's young girls. This verse gives a short summary of Krishna's activities throughout the day and night. The gopis and everyone and everything else in Vraja exists only for Krishna's enjoyment. Yeah, that is in spiritual world, and everybody is actually meant for Krishna's enjoyment. And everything else in Vraj exists only for, but they have realized that. In the material world, until we realize this, we remain in the material world. When we realize this, then we go back to the spiritual world. Though the capital of the opulent king of cowherd shines forth in a region called Nandishwar, the Nanda Maharaj's capital, the Vrajvasis, in tune with Krishna's liking, always think more highly of his pleasure pastimes in the groves and other places in the forest. For all its sweetness, Nanda Maharaj's town is more magnificent than Vaikuntha. Even so, the residents of Vraj think mostly about Krishna playing among the trees and creepers of forest, because that is where he enjoys the most. And that is why gopis wanted to bring him back to Vraj, because that is where Krishna enjoys the most. For Krishna's pleasure. It may seem like they are pulling Krishna's chariot for their own pleasure because they want, but actually it's also said like that they wanted to bring back Krishna because that's where he enjoys the most. O Brahmana, the satisfaction and ecstasy one tastes from living in Golok Vrindavan are beyond describing. To what can they be compared? So living in spiritual world in Golok Vrindavan cannot be compared to anything. According to the laws of spiritual nature, Sukha is the cause of Ananda. Satisfaction is the cause of bliss. In other words, Sukh can be said to be external aspect of spiritual happiness. And Ananda, the internal. Ananda is internal and Sukha is the external. And both are beyond the scope of material understanding.
Yeah, I was here Maulila Prabhu's class, and he was saying that in this material world we have to work so hard, right, just to maintain ourselves at office and home, so many responsibilities, so much hectic work. But in spiritual world, how Krishna is playing always with the Gopas. So he was saying that in a school we have a games period that we really like, and there are other periods like math, science, and so on. Nobody likes them, right? So in spiritual world, it's like games period, games period, games period, games period, lunch, games period, games period, games period, games period, chutti. So he was saying it's all fun and enjoyment with Krishna. It's a nice lecture. I can share the link. The lecture was that there is no Ananda in the material world.
Can you say that again? It's game. What?
So everybody likes the games period, right?
Mm-hmm.
In school, they don't like other, periods.
Yeah, math and chemistry.
Yeah. So spiritual world is like games period, games period, games period, games period, lunch, games period, games period, games period, games period, chutti.
It's fun, more fun like that. Something.
Yeah. So I pasted the link. संसार में कुछ तो आनंद होगा ही. There is a misconception that people have.
Okay. You have to work hard to get some enjoyment in this world. Because devotional service to the Supreme Lord is so wondrous, those who truly know that the residents of Vaikuntha taste a happiness much greater than that of mere liberated souls. So the goal of life is to taste that happiness in service to Krishna. Those who truly know that the residents of Vaikuntha taste the happiness. Yeah. And the happiness of the souls who reside in places like Ayodhya and Dwarka is said to be even greater because of certain various special states. So Vaikuntha, then Ayodhya, Dwarka, then Goloka. We've already heard that in Ayodhya and Dwarka, the Supreme Lord's devotees serve him with special intimacy. The eternal servants of Sri Raghunath's lotus feet are happier than the associates of Sri Narayan in Vaikuntha, and happier still are the relatives of Sri Yadavendra in Dwarka. The devotees of Ayodhya enjoy the privilege of eternal personal service to the Lord, but the devotees of Dwarka, being entitled to taste the rasa of friendship with Krishna, are even more privileged. Okay, you are saying starting at 32 minutes. Okay, let's see.
You were talking about how spiritual world is all fun.
See what this is. Maybe I was also here, but I didn't reach.
1 BHK भी क्या मतलब ये one room.
Okay, come here.
चारों के चारों सलाद के साथ मीठे के साथ ये नॉर्मल. तो ये कौन कर रहा है? भक्त कर रहा है. तो ऐसा नहीं भगवान का जो भक्त है उसकी तो इंद्रियां बेचारी सूखी गई बेचारी की, नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. कृष्ण उसको देते हैं, प्रसाद देते हैं. भगवान कहते हैं मैं तेरी इंद्रियों का ध्यान रखूंगा, तू अपनी भक्ति का ध्यान रख ले. ये भगवान का है हमारे साथ वादा भाई. कहता भाई तुम मेरा भक्ति का ध्यान रख लो, बस तुम्हारी इंद्रियां मैं तृप्त करा दूंगा, और चिंता मत करो. इस्कॉन भोपाल में हम फिस्टिंग वुस्टिंग करा करके तुम्हारा हो जाएगा. मैंने देखा घरों में भी हमारे इस्कॉन डिवोटीज बनाते हैं. अरे माय गॉड, कोई हिचक नहीं. महाराष्ट्र में देयर इज वन फैमिली, घर की आमदनी है 15,000 रुपये. 15,000 में क्या होता है? कुछ भी नहीं होता है. और 15,000 में ही वो जगन्नाथ जी को भोग भी लगा लेते हैं. एक कमरे का घर है, उसी कमरे में जगन्नाथ जी हैं, उसी कमरे में वो लोग सोते हैं, उसी कमरे में कोने में किचन है. 1 BHK. 1 BHK भी क्या मतलब ये वन रूम स्टूडियो में छोटा वाला स्टूडियो. 15,000. सैलरी में 15,000 की सैलरी में जगन्नाथ जी को सुबह दोपहर शाम का भोग भी लगता है, बच्चों की पढ़ाइयाँ भी हो गई हैं, बच्चों की शादियाँ भी हो गई हैं, एजुकेशन सब हो गया। ये कैसे हुआ भाई? कहते ये तो जी हमको भी नहीं पता, लेकिन हुआ। कैसे हुआ? पेपर पे लिखने बैठते हैं ना, कैसे होता है समझ में नहीं आता। तो ऐसी जगह बरकत रहती है जब भगवान केंद्र बिंदु होते हैं, इवन इस जगत के अंदर भी। लेकिन जहाँ भगवान केंद्र बिंदु नहीं है, वहाँ पर ऐसे लोग भी जिनकी 1-1 लाख सैलरी है, वो 15 तारीख को सैलरी खत्म, मांग रहे होते हैं 500 रुपये दे दे यार, बस थोड़ा दाल ले आए हो। ये कितनी सैलरी दे रही? कहता है बस लाख रुपये। लाख में तेरा ये हाल है? और 15,000 वाला देखो, वो जगन्नाथ जी को भोग भी लगा रहा है, बांट भी रहा है। आज हमने जगन्नाथ जी को आज ये भोग लगाया था, वो बांट भी रहा है। कहते कैसे हुआ? कहते ये फलूदे के परे की बात, ये फलूदा ने 1.5 किलो का फलूदा, इसके परे की बात है। तो इसीलिए भगवान ये सृष्टि यहाँ पर इसको बनाते भी हैं, इसको मेंटेन भी करते हैं, नष्ट भी करते हैं। इसलिए ये समझाने के लिए प्रभुपाद जी बोल रहे हैं, ताकि हमको पता लगे देयर इज हायर नेचर, स्पिरिचुअल नेचर, आध्यात्मिक जगत है जहाँ पर ये विलय होना ये कुछ नहीं, सिर्फ आनंद उत्सव, सिर्फ आनंद ही आनंद है भगवान के धाम में। ऐसा दिव्य जगत है वो। अब ऐसे कितने लोगों स्कूल में पढ़ाई की है? अच्छा, स्कूल में गेम्स पीरियड होता है तो उसमें बच्चे बड़े खुश होते हैं, है ना? हे गेम्स पीरियड, 35 मिनट का पीरियड होता है वो, 35-40 मिनट का। अल्लाह, उसके बाद फिर मैथ्स, फिर हिंदी, सोशल साइंस, वो सिविक्स, एक बीच में गेम्स का पीरियड होता है बस। और ऐसा हो जाए कि अगला पीरियड मैथ्स का है और मैथ्स की टीचर बोले देखो मेरी तबीयत खराब है, बच्चों को बोलो अपना कंटिन्यू करें। अरे बच्चे बड़े खुश होते हैं, अरे गेम्स है दूसरा भी। सोचिए एक ऐसा स्कूल हो जहाँ पर गेम्स ही गेम्स पीरियड हो। पहला पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, दूसरा पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, तीसरा पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, चौथा पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, पांचवा पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, लंच, छठा पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, सातवां पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, सातवां पीरियड, आठवां पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, नौवां पीरियड गेम्स पीरियड, छुट्टी। अब ऐसे कौन कौन से बच्चे चाहेंगे भैया, या कौन चाहेगा यार ऐसे स्कूल में दाखिला हो जाए? अरे भाई जिंदगी सिर्फ गेम्स पीरियड ही हो, और गेम्स पीरियड किसके साथ? भगवान के साथ।
मतलब here also, if we fully absorb in Krishna, it's like an adventure. Life becomes like very, for the devotees who are fully absorbed in Krishna's service, they can experience the same adventure right here. मतलब of course body pain होता है, there is a lot of other things that happen and we have to maintain and we have to do some, घर में कुछ बिगड़ गया, you have to call the plumber and this and all that. Wow, there is, yeah, that part is not there. That you get disease and so many things, right? Right. But to some extent, if we fully absorb in Krishna's service here, you can experience that glimpse here, right?
Yeah, but we are willing to do so much hard work and go through so much struggle and suffer just to get a little bit of enjoyment from sense gratification, which is like a drop in a desert, right? Compared to ocean of bliss that we can attain with Krishna. And we don't need to do any such hard work and struggle.
Like 5 days you have to work to get 2 days off, right, on the weekend. So, or you have to work like 60 years to get retirement, 50 years to retire. Well, then you think you'll enjoy like that, right? So it's too much work to make the situation right, to enjoy a little bit.
Yeah, and then it's very unexpected to anything can happen at any time.
Right, yeah.
Danger at every step with our health or with job. Anytime the job can go, and so many distresses in the job, so many people. So,
Like many people saved money for the Titanic voyage, right? Because it was very expensive. So they saved the money thinking that, yeah, we'll go on the voyage to, oh, it is tight. They were very excited. And then disaster happened on the Titanic. So it's like that. Vacation gone sour. So you planned for the vacation and you did so many, and then the vacation didn't turn out the way you thought. After making so much, you saved so much money, वैसे ही रिटायरमेंट में भी ऐसा ही होता है. You think I will retire, I will save so much money, then at the end of my life I will retire, and then you find out you have cancer, you have this problem, your kidney has failed, and then so you have been cheated whole life. You have been working, thinking that in the future, this is also Uttara Shisha Shruti Shuka Mrigat Rishni Rupa, that in future I will get enjoyment. Now I will save a lot of money, and then future I will get enjoyment, and then things may not work out, and eventually it will not because the body will fail. So anyhow, so khub kashtan kama. That's why Rishabh Dev says, don't work too hard. Kashtan kama narhati vid bhujamiye, for the happiness of the stool eating hog, which is available to you on the stool eating hog. Kashtan kama narhati vid bhujamiye. But work hard for attaining divine position of devotional service. Yeah. बट वो वर्ष भी है, यहाँ यस्य हरिदास्य कर्मणा मनसा गिरा निखला स्वापी अवस्था जीवन मुक्त से उच्चते. That you can be liberated, you can experience that liberation from all things if you, with your body, mind, and words, if you surrender to Krishna, then you're liberated even being in the material world. So it is, I mean, that's what the devotees, when Prabhupada was around, they experienced the whole joy of going on Sankirtan, doing so many services. Many people, many devotees talk about it, how wonderful that time was, even though they were living in very austere condition. But it was such a blissful time to fully engage in Krishna's service. So, but
Yeah, but
generally,
as we said yesterday also, even devotees face suffering because, I mean, they still have anarthas and, maybe enjoying spirit. Even pure devotees have to face suffering.
yeah,
So, not all joyful, but devotee take it as Krishna's mercy. Whatever Krishna desires is good for them.
yeah, baby. Even Prabhupada said, like, he had to go through that sickness and heart attack. And so, material body means suffering. Material body is the cause of our suffering. So, when everybody, what we think is the source of our enjoyment, Ashesha Rujam Virohaha, as Prahlad Maharaj says, the body is a source of various diseases. So any disease can happen anytime. So it is the cause of our suffering. Okay, so spiritual world, no material body. So you don't get tired also. You don't get backache and this, no cancer, nothing. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.